Hello there. How you doing? Welcome to another episode of Gas It Out. This one coming after the Spanish Grand Prix, round 4 of the 2026 MotoGP World Championships. My name is Gavin Emmett, and as always, I am joined by the dangerous duo of Sylvain and Neil Hodgson. There they are. Look at them. I'd like to say they're looking all fresh, but the pair of them have reason to feel a little bit worse for wear this morning. Sylvain's for a healthy, a really reason that you just all want to get behind. Neil Hodgson had 2 shandies, was it last night, Neil?
Three full pints as well of shandy. So yeah, I've got a slightly sore head this morning.
Talking of sore, Sylvain Gintoli, we are recording here on a Wednesday after you did 26.2 miles on Sunday for the London Marathon. Just a week, of course, after having done the Le Mans 24 hours. How the hell are you?
Broken. That's the word. I've got a cold. I've got man flu. I'm fully destroyed. It took me about, so this room, there's a set of stairs to get up to here, and it took me about 15 minutes just to climb the stairs. I had to go backwards. My legs are destroyed. My knees my knees are still bleeding from the marathon.
Bleeding?
The suit rubbing. Yeah, because obviously with the leather suit, it was rubbing quite a lot. And legs are completely broken. I mean, this marathon thing is no joke. And I know that nowadays it's everywhere over social media. You just look at it, and every other bloke has done a marathon. But in reality, it is a proper hard thing to do. So yeah, I'm a little bit broken, but I am so happy. So happy with how it turned out. So happy with the support we got. It was a brilliant weekend in London. The whole experience was unbelievable. And we've raised a lot of money for this fantastic charity, PASIC. I mean, with Gift Aid right now, it's almost at £180,000. I mean, can you believe that?
I've got it live, Sylvain.
Unbelievable.
I've got it live. Just 1 second. Let me have a look at what it is. The latest fundraising total. There we are.
Wow. Bloody hell.
As of this morning. So that's just the money raised, and then the gift aid on top that you can put on if you're a UK taxpayer. Top left of the screen, you can see the QR code. If you still haven't donated, it's there. This is on the YouTube version of it. So if you're listening on the audio version, go and have a look at that. If not, go and check our bio out. 151 plus then 28,000, nearly 180,000. And then on top, Sylvain, Layla and Alicia, your daughters have had their own separate fundraisers going as well. So they've raised even more money. That is just incredible.
Yeah, they did really well, and I'm so proud of them too as well. I mean, Alicia she had 2 injuries on the build-up, so she couldn't really train. The longest run she'd done was 15 Ks, and she did so well. Went through the whole thing in pain, but completed it. And Layla did really well as well. So they both raised a great amount as well. Alicia for PASIC, the same charity as me, and Layla for Young Lives versus Cancer, which helped us as well, and he's a great charity for cancer. So yeah, I mean, look at this. I was on London Bridge.
I mean, it's loving the sunglasses. I got a close-up pic of that as well.
Have you?
And then I got another close-up.
Hey, that's good for you, Gav. I'll give you that. That's good.
What was the welding phase? When was that? Was that just after or before Big Ben? When he had to stick 2 bits of metal together?
I needed the big glasses, mate, to hide the pain in the face. It was horrendous. I thought it was easy until about a half marathon, and then after that, it got hard. Yeah.
You and your family have been through hell, Sylvain, and you've gone through hell again on Sunday. But you all need to be so unbelievably proud of the effort that you've put together and what you've done, because it is a way to turn pain into something magical, something really special. So genuinely, you all need to be so proud of what you've done. And I know that you said, having spoken to you, about how valuable that money is for PASIC and for those charities.
Yeah, it'll make a huge difference. And also you guys, you've got to be proud of yourselves, and everybody that's watching this and that's donated and we're watching TNT as well. I mean, I've rewatched the coverage of TNT, and you guys and Susie and everybody at TNT has been so helpful. every time, you were talking about it, literally the fundraiser was crashing. The whole thing was on fire. So that was a tremendous help. And that VT as well that was played during just before the races.
Did me.
Pretty
It
special. We watched it
absolutely
all
Yeah,
together, and we
it did
were all
me.
in bits.
Yeah,
It did me as well. Yeah.
yeah, I bet it did.
Thank you all. Thank you for supporting and for making this very special. Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, it's the least
brilliant.
anyone could do in our situation of just watching everything that you've been going through. So, congratulations to all of you, and I'm sure everyone echoes that back home. Don't you reckon, Neil? We've all been. It was the main thing on our minds, really, wasn't it? The racing for us was secondary almost over the weekend.
Yeah, all weekend, obviously, it's all everyone was talking about in the team. Obviously, there's quite a lot of us travelled together, as you know, Sylvain. So, yeah, you were definitely talk of the town. And the funny part is that, in the paddock in general as well, the funny part was, I said it on air, I said, what people don't realise, it's a proper leather suit. It's not a gimmick that looks like a motorcycle racing suit, and it's really light. You'd got your knee sliders on, you'd still got all the protection. I mean, do you remember when you first showed me the suit and I picked it up and I'm going, what are you doing? You can't run in this. We need to.
Yeah, you wanted to drill holes everywhere, didn't you?
I wanted to cut corners, didn't I?
Yeah.
I'm like, you can't be running in that. And you're like, no, this is how it has to be. Like, it's like I said, you've still got your knee sliders on. I'd have had everything off, and you broke the world record. The world record stood at just over 4 hours, and you did, what was it, 3 hours 47. So
yeah, how do we get this to be official? Because obviously we know that it has to be approved by Guinness and all that. What do we have to do to get it official? If anyone knows, at Gas It Out Pod, let us know. Do you know, Sylvain?
Yeah, I think I did send them an email to sort of like, you can pre-tell them that you're gonna attempt it, and then after. So yesterday, I've sent them an email yesterday, just saying, hello, by the way, this is what happened at the weekend, and obviously
world
it's all
record
like
smashed.
official time.
FYI.
Yeah, FYI.
Yeah,
Can I
obviously
get
did
my
it,
certificate,
so
please?
yeah.
So we'll see. I think there's a bit of delay, obviously, because I mean, Guinness World Record is a big machine, isn't it? So hopefully they can acknowledge it and that. But it'll be it's the cherry on the cake, isn't it?
Yeah,
I just wanted to do it for the story. You might as well.
Being a competitor, Sylvain. Being a competitor, you've got to have a winning element to it, and you've absolutely smashed through 100%. That. So I think that. Anyway, we'll back you in any of it. We've seen everything. I just there was a video that you sent us that I have to look. This is your daughters. Felicity at the front, Layla behind.
Oh,
I can feel their
aftermath.
Pain, poor girls.
Yeah, the reality.
Yeah,
that's the reality after 26 miles into it. Like, you are destroyed.
For those on the audio version,
it was funny
hobbling down the stairs on the tube.
In the tube, you could see everybody that's run the marathon the day before. Everybody was literally like that, crawling like turtles or going backwards down the steps. It was really funny to watch everybody in real pain. Tight calves and destroyed knees. Yeah.
Well, we missed you, and huge congratulations. The QR code, we'll leave that up on the screen, will we, for this episode for a bit. So if you do want to donate, you still can through that QR code. Obviously, Sylvain, you missed the racing on the weekend. My first question is, have you watched it back yet, or have you been asleep since Sunday?
No, I have. I've watched it all back, and I mean, it was quite good. I mean, starting with the sprint. Wow, what a race! I mean, with obviously the flag to flag. I've watched all the races as well, because I wanted to see the coverage and see you guys. It's funny because when you're home watching it, it feels really different to when you're actually doing it, and you guys don't see that because you're always there, aren't you? So. It's good to sit back, watch the whole show, and when you know everything that goes behind it, with the production side of things, and the show itself was good. So yeah, it was brilliant. I really loved the Senna Agius like in Moto2. That was pretty special, and obviously in MotoGP we had again, like the confirmation of the Aprilias, but Alex Marquez back, Marc Marquez making another mistake, and the crazy sprint. So yeah, it was all action as usual. Always some surprises, and a good show was put on. Yeah.
Yeah, it was fantastic, wasn't it? As a weekend, Sunday's MotoGP race may have been disappointed. But Neil, we asked the question, didn't we, before the racing weekend, how significant it was. We felt Aprilia had stolen a march. There were still 4 Aprilias in the top 6 in Sunday's race. If we start, I think, with Sunday's race, since it's the most recent thing. But Ducati returning to the summit for the first time in 6 months. Alex Marquez running out victorious. Back-to-back Spanish Grand Prix wins after he took his first Grand Prix victory there a year ago. He did it with his brother crashing out on lap 2 behind him. Fast crash at turn 11. And the championship leader in the end, Marco Bezzecchi, coming home in second place. Digi rounding out the podium for Ducati. Then it was 3 more Aprilia. So 4 Aprilias in the top 6 with Martin, Agura and Raul Fernandez. And then Johann Zarco, who perhaps when you talk about the whole weekend, was one of the stars coming through it, especially when we head to Le Mans. That's something to bear in mind. What was your global vision of how the weekend went? You know, when we went in, talking about how much of a crucial weekend this was going to be.
Yeah, well, really, it's the most important weekend of the year because we'd had the 3 flyaways, quirky, peculiar tracks. No one really knew where, I should start again. No one knows where you are, as in with relation to how good your package is, how good the bike is, how good the team's working until you get to Jerez. It's always been the same. It's been the same for 20 or 30 years. And the big question before the weekend was, is Aprilia going to continue their dominance? You know, they've dominated the first 3 rounds. They dominated at the end of last year. And in a way, the answer is, well, not really. They didn't dominate. But when you look back after the weekend, you sit back, you look at all the results, you see where the average Aprilia rider was. I think we're at a point where we can now say the Aprilia MotoGP bike is the best bike of 2026. Now, of course, things can change. There was a test on Monday after the race anyway, where we know lots of the manufacturers, Ducati, well, everybody, we're trying different things, some small tweaks. But all in all, you have to say that Aprilia is unbelievable. Yes, Alex Marquez won the main Grand Prix. He was the fastest all weekend. As we know, he goes well at that track anyway. He likes fast right-hand corners. He won there last year. And literally from the first practice session, it was like he had about 0.2, 0.3 of a second advantage in his back pocket. And the sprint race, obviously, that's another story altogether. That was quirky, which I loved. But in the main race, when it was consistent conditions, Alex Marquez absolutely controlled the race. And to be honest, I think Marco Bezzecchi was really smart. Never tried to push too hard, had a comfortable second place. He knew full well that he was going to get a bag full of points, 20 points for finishing second, continue leading the championship. And obviously, he'd also witnessed who he will think is going to be his main rival throughout the season, Marc Marquez, crash out again. So all in all, it was. I thought the Sunday race was a bit boring, but what an interesting weekend.
Yeah, it was, wasn't it? It was one of those weekends that developed strange because of the weather, really. And we'll get onto the sprint later on. I think we should probably give that its own segment of the show because there's so many talking points in it. But one thing is, Sylvain, Ducati did win for the first time in 6 races. And potentially, if Marc hadn't crashed out, if buts and maybes, I know. But it still could have been 2 Ducatis ahead of the Aprilias or in and amongst them anyway, or 3, including Fabio Di Giannantonio. I think we're at the point now, perhaps, where we're writing off Pecco Bagnaglia's chances full stop, almost, the way things have gone. But, you know, the Ducati did come back. That is one thing to highlight, isn't it, Sylvain? You know, all the talk for it. And it sounds like testing afterwards. You know, maybe we talk about that briefly at the end. That might be something to get in next week's episode. But the Ducati did come back when we got back into Europe. What do you reckon?
Yeah, they got closer, but I fully agree with Neil that we got confirmation that Aprilia have made those progresses and is now, you know, the best package or on par or they are there and they're going to be in the title fight for the whole championship, which is absolutely brilliant for us because we're going to get some proper battles with multiple manufacturers involved, and we're going to get that Italian duel, you know, Ducati versus Aprilia. And you know, we've got Ducati that's showed that they're going to be competitive as well. But in Jerez, over the last few years, they have dominated so much. They've been basically destroying everybody in Jerez the last 5-6 years. So I would say that even though we had an Alex Marquez winning the race, we had a Marc Marquez that was competitive. We had DJ that was there at the front as well. I think the Aprilia has got a little advantage. Now, the testing on Monday was really interesting because it sounds like Ducati have made a little step with on the aero side, and they found something you could read in between the lines, thinking that the Ducati riders were quite happy about that test. We've got an Aprilia that is just so good. And again, at the test on Monday, Aprilia as well, they were testing new configuration with the front aero. Did you see that thing with the holes in the screen in the front and the bigger wings? I mean, they are non-stop chasing for improvements on the aero side. And we had Maximo as well saying that very much so for 2027. The race of the aero race is on. All the difference or a massive difference will be made with the aero. So they continue pushing the boundaries on the aero side, and I think we're going to see some really sort of some aero solutions that are going to be introduced this year, especially on the 850s, because that they can carry on testing with that. No, there's no restriction on the aero side before they homologate that for next year. And we're going to see some aero package, some interesting ones for next year. So we've got the race is on, and very much so the Aprilias there. With the 4 Aprilias in the top 6 again, they're just so strong, and for every riding style as well. So yeah, they've done a fantastic job.
The fact is as well, I know Saturday was a bit different story. They were crashing, but it's consistent, isn't it? It's consistently there. None of them look on the edge. They look stable. They don't look like they're going to crash. There were crashes during practice. Jorge Martin had a couple of strange ones, didn't he? He had that one at turn 3, but he did have quite a couple of big crashes over the weekend. But in general, they're not throwing them down the road left, right, and centre. Their bike just looks so planted. So I just want to go back a quick word on Alex Marquez. Give him some credit because he's been all at sea, hasn't he? And he sort of took a different mindset this weekend into the Spanish Grand Prix, and it all paid off.
Yeah, it was quite interesting because literally on Thursday when we interviewed him with TNT, obviously Natalie Quirk, he was like, I've got a different approach this weekend. I'm going to focus on the positives of the bike because there are plenty of those. There's always issues. There's always something you want to change. There's always something you want to improve, but I'm not going to go down that road. I'm not going to get distracted. And it always helps when you go out in the first practice session and you top the session, which he did. But from that moment on, he really controlled the weekend. Like I say, the sprint's a different story because that was quirky. But it just goes to show, and we talk about this a lot, how it's all between the ears. These top riders in the world now, obviously all on very similar machinery. And it's who's mentally strong, who can cope with adversity, who's gelling well with a crew, with a team. And Alex Marquez this weekend just did everything right. But still, when we analysed some of the stuff throughout the weekend, the stuff that Chaz Davis films for us, when we do the ghosting, oh my God, you can still see that Aprilia turns better on fast corners and looks so stable as well. It looks an easier package still at this moment in time. And how good's that? I was just thinking this when you were talking then, Gav. How good we've had the Ducati clear dominance for, has it been 6 seasons? Feels like a long time. Certainly 5, you would say.
Quartararo won in 21, but you always felt it was up against it. You always felt that Ducati actually was perhaps the best bike with Dovi on it. Even then, didn't you, when he was battling Marc Marquez at the time, towards the 18 and 19. Marc made the difference. 2020 was a bit, you felt like Dovi was main perhaps just on the slide there. And then, you saw the rise in Pecco Bagnaia. But you'd have to say, I reckon personally, since about 18, 19, would you agree?
Yeah, it feels that way. So how good is it now that we've got proper competition for Ducati? And you can see the stress. You can see Gigi Dall'Igna, Davide Tardozzi, who always wears his heart on his sleeve. You know exactly what... It'd be a useless poker player, wouldn't he?
What about the cuddle with Pecco Bagnaia and which
awkward.
After the sprint, they're really cool. And then the massive embrace of Marc Marquez afterwards. It was, that just showed that
good body language.
Few and far between, exactly. Those moments, they haven't really been able to enjoy them. It's 9 races now without the factory team scoring a Sunday podium.
mental, isn't it? It's hard to believe, but yeah.
That's a stat.
And you know, it tees it all up. Doesn't Sylvain? Just think about this now. Obviously, we've got Le Mans coming next. We all love Le Mans. What an atmosphere! Don't you feel like it tees it all up for us now? You feel like now the season's really going to start.
Yeah, it just feels like it's just starting to bubble now.
Yeah,
because we've got that competition, because we've got the Aprilias that are strong in well, all of them are strong, and then we've got the outsiders as well. I mean, how good was it to see Johann Zarco performing like that in Jerez? He was so good, and that all started with being again making the difference with the wet tires. You know, in the qualifying. I mean, he was so good then. Good grid position, and then the fight that he had in him during the races, you know, it was unreal. He just did not give an inch. He finished miles in front of second Honda, which was, I think it was Marini, but he was a long way in front. So Zarco is clearly revved up for Le Mans. I literally cannot wait. I think Le Mans is going to be unreal. We're going to get, again, the crowds. We're going to get... And the French were there last week for the Le Mans 24 hours. There was a record crowd, I think nearly 80,000 for the Le Mans 24 hours, which is a lot for Le Mans, for the endurance race. And I think this intended... Well, we're gonna get a full house. It's going to be a great atmosphere. We're going to get the battles on track. And we're going to get, hopefully, you know, and maybe some French surprises like we did last year. I mean, how good was that? I want to see it again.
I would not write it off. I would not write it off. Let's just have a quick look at the championship, how it stands after 4 rounds of the championship. Marco Bezzecchi still on top, 101 for him, 11 clear of his teammate Jorge Martin. 30 points behind Bezzecchi, Fabio Di Giannantonio moves up to third. Tough weekend for KTM. And Pedro Acosta, he drops to fourth on 66. And then Marc Marquez, 12 points because of his sprint win there in fifth. Ralph Fernandez. Alex Marquez just moves ahead of Ayagura in the championship and into seventh place. We're going to take a break from proceedings here. We'll be back in a second. We'll talk about what on earth went on in that sprint. Here we are again to talk about the sprint at the Grand Prix of Spain, which of course saw Marc Marquez running out victorious. But this was anything but a straightforward race, because if you are watching on the video version, there was the moment actually that came a little bit earlier when he dropped the bike. I've got a photo that we got perfect.
There we go.
Dropping the bike just at that final corner, just as the rain started to fall. And then he waited his moment, didn't he, to come back across the track. He rejoined. So there you are. That's him waiting. And then, of course, he went on to take victory in the sprint. And just like he did a year ago. In fact, we had the same sprint winner, same main race winner as we had 1 year ago. But yeah, this was, you know what? I was saying it over the weekend. Mario Balotelli, famous Italian footballer, when he played for Manchester City, everything happened to him. You know, he'd set fire to his apartment by setting fireworks off. He'd get involved in scuffles on the training pitch. And he had a T-shirt that said, "Why always me?" And it was because he was always involved in the middle. And Sylvain, what is it with Marc Marquez? Whenever there's drama, whenever there's a story, whenever there's a rule that needs questioning or needs challenging, Marc Marquez is there to break it and to, without a doubt, create a new rule in the future.
Yeah, well, he's on the edge, isn't he? And this kind of characters, just like Balotelli, the guys that are on the edge like that, they usually create situation like this because they're constantly living on that razor's edge, and they're quick thinkers as well. I mean, Marc has always been like this. He's always been able to. Even though, because when you ride a motorcycle at full speed on a track, I always say you lose about 95% of your brain capacity because your brain is focusing so much on what you're trying to do that you can't. It's very hard to sort of calculate or do any kind of other thinking. But Marc is able to do it. So he's sort of like calculating already. You know, he said actually he crashed because he was calculating, you know, the laps and how many seconds he was going to lose on the slicks and how many laps was left. Was he worth coming in or not? and then crashed, and then he thought, okay, well then now I'll just go in. So he's able to compute all of this just like he did on that grid in in Austin, and he's done it multiple times where he's able to just improvise and make the right decision right on the edge, and this was one of them. I mean, how genius. You crash, and he hold the clutch as well, didn't stall the bike, because if he stalled the bike, he would have had to be pushed away from the track to restart in the safety roads. So yeah, he was able to save the bike from stalling, waiting. He did it as well, so he didn't take any risk. He didn't cut across anybody. He waited. He thought, right, now is not the time to to take a risk there, because then I will get a penalty. And he crossed when he was safe to do so. I thought it was absolutely brilliant. I just love the drama of it, the quick thinking, and the fact that he's just like a cat, isn't he? He just always lands on his feet somehow.
Yeah, it's the clarity, as you say, the clarity of thought, the wherewithal in that situation when you have just thrown it down the road and other people might walk away from the bike. He's kept the clutch in. He's risked injury by doing so as well in that situation, and yet has the clarity of thought to then come back across. It was funny. We are all on a media group, as a lot of the journalists that you'll read or hear from are. We're all on this group together, and we get sent official information by the organisers, that kind of thing. And it was funny. There were a lot of people questioning the decision, what rule had been broken. There were bits of rule books being thrown across, weren't there, left, right, and centre across the. Are they airwaves that WhatsApp goes by? I don't know. Anyway, but we're all on this group. But to a man, they were all Italian, weren't there? There was a variety of Italian journalists saying, "Oh, what about this rule? And what about this rule? No, have you read this one?" And there was myself, and David Emmett, and a couple of other journalists were sort of going, "Yeah, but the rule doesn't actually say that. It says this, or you can't cross the inside line. It doesn't say anything about the outside line." There was a lot of desperation. I saw it as well from a fan point of view. I know there's people who don't like that sort of thing, and want think that he flouts or flaunts against the rules and that. But ultimately, Neil, no rule had been broken. But it wasn't as simple as coming in and jumping on a bike and winning the race, was it? Because still he'd lost 20 seconds in that incident. That was part of the rule, the no advantage being gained effectively. If he'd have cut across and that kind of thing and gained an advantage, it was a different story. But, when he went back out on track, he wasn't leading the race. His brother was still leading out on a worsening track. Brad Binder effectively was the leader on the wet tyres. And in both of those situations, both Alex Marquez, who then crashed on a wet track, and Brad Binder, who crashed, we guess, on a cold tyre, there were other pitfalls then to come up against.
Yeah. It's funny because it really, when you look back at it, if you analyse it all, Brad Binder threw away that win because he was the rider that came into the pits early, a lap early, basically, to get on the wet tyres, which was absolutely the right thing to do. I don't know. I can't quite work out what lead he had when he crashed, but it'll have been, I think,
about
5
seconds.
Maybe 5 seconds. Yeah,
five.
Between 5 and 10 seconds, let's say. So,
Yeah.
I mean, and there were 5 laps to go, something like that. And Brad's a good wet weather rider, so he was actually unlucky if it was a cold tyre or whatever. But do you know what I love, right? And Gav, you know what I'm like. I'm a prodder. I love a prod. Do I like a prod? Well, first of all, let's start.
It's like an annoying older brother.
Yeah, I'm like that bomb. Just prodding, right? So, first of all, how thick's the rule book? What is it?
Big old fat thing, yeah.
I know this is not good for audio, for our audio viewers.
An inch, something like that.
It's probably even thicker than that. And I tell you what, there's lots of very small writing and lots of long words.
It's like a Bible. It's got that thin paper.
It's like a Bible, but that's really complicated. I'm not saying the Bibleism, but anyway.
It is. I don't understand either of them.
No, that's a fair point. No, definitely. But guess what? There are rules for everything. And the stewards, I spoke to Simon, they had to have a really long, hard look through the book. And all the people that are paid decent money, all the experts, nobody could find one rule that man broke. And then, this is the prodding bit that I like. Look, you either like Mark or you don't, but you have to admire tenacity, skill, intelligence, wherewithal, everything. I can't even think of the words. But all the haters, I went on my X, and I can see all the haters having a go at me like it's my fault as well, which you know what I'm like.
It is a bit. It
Just
is
so
a bit
you
your
know,
fault.
just moving forward, if you don't like me and you don't like Marc Marquez and you want to put really offensive things about me on X, I absolutely love it. The more offensive, the better, really, because sometimes we show each other, don't we, in the comment box going,
Oh, and I can tell you, I love it even more.
Well, what happens is Gav reads them out in this weird voice, and it's quite entertaining. But so much hate. I know, genuinely, people, if they are angry or grumpy, they're more likely to post. But anyway, so much hate for Marc being a genius, winning that race. I mean, it was incredible, wasn't it? So I love that because I just thought, as you both know, I respect anyone who can do special things. I love all the riders anyway. And we don't have favourites. But when Marc, week in, week out, is the show, as a commentator, it's nice to have something interesting, quirky, in general to talk about, rather than me and Gav trying to make things up. And Marc delivers pretty much most weekends. So, I mean, I loved it. When he crashed, I saw him literally go like that on the clutch. Like you say, he's so far ahead of everything. When he cut across the grass, I said in commentary, "Oh, I don't know if you can do that," because I didn't know. I said the stewards will have their hands full with this one, which they did. And then the comeback, within a lap, is back to third. And then the way he attacked his teammate was reckless. It's like, what are you doing?
It was like Argentina 2018, wasn't it?
It was like Argentina 2018. But in a way, who am I to criticise? We're talking about a 9 times world champion who literally can walk on water. I mean, it had it all. I mean, for me, it was the best sprint race I think I've ever seen. And it's
there's been a couple though. Was there? Do you remember the Brad Binder one? Was it Brad Binder coming through in Argentina when he came through from way down the order? Was another one. There's been a couple like that, haven't there? But this one,
there has
knocked spots off it. It was like Brad Binder's win in was it the Styrian Grand Prix that time?
In the exactly, that's right.
Austrian anyway.
And isn't it funny that some journalists, and I'm not going to name names because they don't deserve the air, but of straight after the race, are complaining, going, "This is not what It's like, was it like forced entertainment? It's dangerous." And it's like, that's what you turn your TV on to watch a race, to watch a fight, to watch something different, and that's. I mean, it was just, for me, that was a 10 out of 10 race and don't get much better. In fact, all year we've had some cracking sprint races.
Yeah, and ultimately, the whole sport is a show. It's entertainment, isn't it? You watch it because you want to be entertained. You don't watch it to be bored, do you? You watch it because you want drama, because you know that there's people right on the edge. You know that there's people risking everything to be out there. And when you see them then go beyond those, when they go beyond their rivals, when they're able to do something the rivals aren't, that's when you see excellence, isn't it? That's when you see.
You want to go to the pub, Gav, don't you? After a game, you walk into the pub after a football match, obviously a MotoGP race, and you can't wait to talk about it with someone. That's what sport is. And as like I said, on Sunday, the race was a bit boring. You go, "Oh, this is the result." Yeah, a bit boring. That's end of conversation. But that sprint
still
race,
enough to talk about. Still enough to talk about. But it was a fairly steady race, wasn't it? Still
steady race. But that sprint race, I mean, we talked about it all that night, didn't we? In hire cars, back to the hotel, back at the hotel. Yeah, couldn't get enough of it.
Yeah, and I think those sorts of things are talking points, flashpoints, great for the sport to highlight that. In the race, actually, Sylvain, is interesting because obviously at that moment on Saturday night, it looked like, here we go, the season's about to turn. Suddenly, Aprilia, Marco Bezzecchi found himself under the bike. Jorge Martin has had a problem with his bike. He's crashed out. All these sorts of things were happening. You're thinking, here we go. And yet, what I do admire about Aprilia, we've sung their praises quite a lot already on this, and I really enjoyed speaking to Paolo Bonora after the race. It feels like Massimo Rivola's put together, the cliche of the family, but it's more like this bubble around the riders of confidence and positivity and technological advancement, where they are constantly pushing the envelope, pushing things forward. And yet again, Sylvain, from the Saturday night to the Sunday, Aprilia turned things around and dialed it in for the Sunday, and came bouncing back from what could have been a big turning point that really popped their bubble that they're all living in at the moment at Aprilia.
Yeah, I think that shows, how much confidence they have and how much firepower they have. They have the speed, they have the consistency. They know that the four bikes and the four riders are strong and can make it happen. They work well together as well. This recipe of that initially came from Ducati. Having the force of the numbers and the data and exchanging all that data to make everybody better. Now Aprilia is doing it. And it's working. So yeah, I mean the sprint was a very particular situation and a particular race, and it definitely did not throw them out at all. They recomposed themselves. They knew they were there anyway, and in normal, let's say, conditions on Sunday, they put it all together again. So yeah, again the sprint though for Bezzecchi. I mean, if you take just the sprints, Bezzecchi's been really not it's not happened for him in the sprints at all yet. But he's leading the championship, and once they manage to sort that, it's gonna be even worse. So yeah, Aprilia, you still feel like there's more to come. There's more to come from Martin. That didn't have a great weekend really because of all the crashes and we think, well, I think anyway, that Martin is going to progress with his qualifying performance and his explosive speed. We've not seen that yet, so this is yet to come. We've got Bezzecchi yet to improve his sprint performances, and yet we've got Aprilia dominating as well. So yeah, Gav, 100%. There is a lot of confidence. There's a great atmosphere in the box. We know that because we see them every weekend. Every time we speak to them, you can tell that the atmosphere in there and the confidence is sky high. So they know that this year it is the year. They got to make it happen, and they know that they've got a massive opportunity to get the title this year.
Yeah, absolutely. 1 and 2 in the championship, 4 of them in the top 8 of the championship. It's on for them, isn't it? I think that's sort of something that came across in the testing. It looked like, everyone else may be starting to edge their way towards the 850. And I think Aprilia is still going all guns. Let's spend more money on aero. Let's spend more money on some extra sensors. Let's just go for it. Let's just spend our pot now. Let's just to go. And I think you're right about Martin. I thought that was a really good fourth, actually. I think that was one of those. That's someone who's won a championship. That's someone who could easily have thrown that down the road, trying to chase down Fabio Di Giannantonio or whoever, and yet just brought it steadily home after a tough weekend in terms of the crashes, and someone who knows how to get it done. And then says over the weekend, I think I found a couple of tens. I've tried some bits that Marco Bezzecchi's tried, and actually I think it's given us a little bit of something else. We'll just take a quick last break, but when we come back, a quick word on the other manufacturers and on Moto2 and on Moto3. Welcome back to the final part of this short Gas It Out review of the Spanish Grand Prix. And I just want to have a really quick word about the other manufacturers we haven't really been able to touch on. We mentioned Brad Binder, Neil, dropping it out of the sprint race. I thought there were positive moments actually through the weekend. I thought he looked better on Friday from Binder, but Pedro Acosta was nowhere all weekend. Just never clicked. It was like they sort of had a direction. They looked good in certain parts of the racetrack. We saw that from some of the analysis footage. But the bike not turning, and to say that was the big area they were hoping to have sorted their bike out for the weekend, I felt it was the disappointing one for the orange bikes this weekend. Bastianini, perhaps, I suppose, the spark in some way.
Yeah, I think all in all, they'd be really disappointed with the way it went for KTM. It shows that they're not, obviously, they're not in the same league really as Ducati or Aprilia. So work to do there, but for everyone it's work to do. Obviously Yamaha, that continues there, the struggle at Yamaha. Top Rat was
and lots of negative comments, I have to say, from Fabio over the weekend. It's feeling a bit jarring. I sort of keep hearing them, and I heard a rumor on Sunday that they might be stopping him talking to the media. They already did it the opening round of the season, if you remember, with Paolo Pavessia. But I just wonder whether it's got to come to a point for Fabio. Look, you're not going to get that much this year. Everything's actually, in my opinion, you may disagree with me, lads, but they're actually, or everything they're doing is just trying to find a direction for the 850s, or find a direction. We're just collecting data, really. You're not going to be expecting, and I know Fabio wants to be battling and winning races, but surely that's almost the deal that he made. Maybe not at the start of his contract, but at the end of last
that's
year.
what I think. All in all, if I was the Yamaha press, I'd be saying, we're done now. You know, Fabio, we are gonna stop you from talking to the press because it is really negative. But it's just a reality of the situation. But he doesn't need to keep saying it. I don't think. I mean, we love
No.
Fabio. He's such a nice guy. It's like completely. He's as normal as they come in the paddock. Always super polite But I get that he's extremely competitive and I think I was thinking about it the other day actually. I think he's not going to let them off. I think he thinks I've got to keep on at Yamaha. I've got to keep stressing my point because if I don't, we know the Yamaha manufacturers do work quite slowly. So I think he's just going, no, I'm going to keep my foot on your neck. My bike's rubbish. It has to be better. I heard some negative comments. I was reading some negative comments, I should say, from Toprak as well, which was not nice to read. It's like he's not enjoyed. He had a tough weekend, really.
Engine
even though there
brake
were
problems.
Yeah, exactly. There were glimmers, as there's going to be with Toprak of hope. Obviously, he did that incredible save. Yeah, that incredible save, which just to sort of underline his talent. But yeah, I mean, there's not a lot to say about Yamaha. It's just the same old. It's going to be a long season, isn't it?
Final word just on MotoGP, on Honda. I think we should give all the manufacturers credit. Really tough again. Johann Mir, some people were feeling sorry for him. There was a problem with his bike, that he ignored a meatball flag. For me, that's an instant double long lap and forget about it. You've been an idiot. But as far as I'm concerned, however much it's not your fault or, you're right. But, anyway, Johann Zarco was the bright spot. Sylvain, wasn't he? And I thought Johann, for me, he's my rider of the weekend, really, actually. I sort of expected it from Alex Marquez, expected him to be there. Marc was a disappointment.
I agree.
Perez was all right. For me, Johann Zarco, Sylvain, was the standout because clearly the bike wasn't up to it. But when he qualified up there, boy, did he fight for it in the sprint. And then again on the Sunday race. I'm sure you're going to agree with me, Sylvain, because I know that you're a huge drum beater for Johann. But I think he fully deserves to be everyone's rider of the weekend.
Yeah. And, in MotoGP, it's becoming more... It's becoming harder and harder for a rider to make a difference like that compared to the other riders on the same bike, from the same manufacturer. So when you see a standout like this, like we've seen in the past, with an Acosta at KTM, excelling with performances of that type, it is so worth acknowledging. These guys, to make a difference like this, they have to ride out of their skin, and that's what Johann Zarco did. He took all the risks in those wet conditions, which has suited him in the past, but he did make it count. And then in the races in the dry, both times he was fighting so hard, putting, like, every time he got overtaken, he was having another go, trying, even though he didn't quite have the pace. He fought for his life not every single lap, every single corner. And I love to see that. I love to see an attitude like that from any rider. So yeah, for me, I fully agree with you, Gav. He's probably the rider of the weekend. He made the difference. He made the Honda package look good, and it was so nice to see. When you see a performance like that, it just makes me feel happy, because you can just see how much it meant for him, and in the build up to Le Mans as well. This is a really good sign. So yeah, I felt really proud of him. I thought he did amazing.
No, I agree. And talking of fighting for their lives, fighting for their careers, I suppose, let's move quickly to Moto2 and back-to-back wins for Senna. Agius, Neil, that's 4 to his name. That's more wins than Daniel Gardo. That's more wins than David Alonso, more wins than Isan Guevara. And, you're talking about people going up into MotoGP at the moment. Lots of talk of it, because this deals are being struck right now. I think it will buy Mugello, in the next couple of races. We're going to sort of have a good idea pretty much of who's going where next year. Maybe there'll be a couple of seats here and there. What a performance. Colin Valle, I have to say, was great from pole. Had arm pump, drop back. I thought he was excellent to take that podium. Manu Gonzalez, solid as always, but Senna was a standout.
Yeah, Senna was the star. I mean, he'd won it in America, but America is a quirky track. And it's one of those, whenever you come to Jerez, we've talked about already on this pod, it's the reference track. everybody knows it. Everyone tests there. Everyone's done a bazillion laps. Everyone's got a good setup because it is what it is. It's Jerez. You know every little ripple on that track. And watching Senna Agius on Friday in that second practice, oh my God. Some of the let's say that the highest skill level I've seen on a Moto2 bike in a long time. The way he was drifting it through the fast corners consistently, but also it was the fact that the bike was sliding. It wasn't snapping at all. It got the most delicate throttle control to have the bike moving, turning, allowing him to finish the corners off, but with no hesitations. Where he wasn't yawing, it wasn't overworking the suspension. It was skill, and it was so good to watch. When I saw that, I genuinely thought he has to be the favourite for Sunday's race. Because what he showed was when the grip level drops on the Pirellis, which they do a little bit on the rear especially because they go through a hard time, then it comes down to who can manage it and who's got the skill level to control it. And Senna was just, it was a 10 out of 10 performance when the maximum pressure's on his shoulders. This is such a pivotal point in the young Aussie's career. And like you said, there's not many seats available in MotoGP. The problem is if he doesn't get signed up, then it's blocked off for another 2 years. Literally, you're sort of screwed. You're then thinking, wow, that's 2029. I have to then potentially end up in there. And by then, you don't know who's coming into the class, Moto2 class, which superstars will ever get this opportunity
Max
again.
Quiles will have made a step or whoever.
Do you know what I mean?
Be the next cab off the rank.
Yeah, so so pleased for him. I really like him. Super talented. You know, let's hope. Then, so what do we think now? Do we think he's one result away from potentially getting a contract? Does he need to do more?
I don't think so. I reckon there's people pushing behind the scenes for it already. They know we've got a race in Adelaide coming up, street circuit next year. We need an Aussie, and if Jack's not going to get a contract, which we don't know, whether there's any potential there. But I had heard rumours that Guevara's move to Pramac was perhaps being not blocked, but they were asking for that to be considered because that was a possibility. They were going to just, slot Guevara up there. People would say they might feel for Ethan Guevara, career-wise, but I think in terms of deserving it, Senna's back-to-back race wins just shows that he deserves to be in the conversation, deserves to be in the picture. What more do you need to do in this? And it is all about timing. Fabio Quartararo won 2 strokes. He's from 1-1 eventually. One was cancelled because of a technical infringement that was not his problem. But, won 2 Grand Prix, but he did them at the right time, didn't he? And then got his move and look at it. And I just think Senna is in the zone at the moment, and full credit to him for the hard work that he puts in and has put in over the years. The quick word, Sylvain, on Moto3 as well, and talking of people dominating. Max Quiles, I mean, it felt like he could have gone from the early part of the race, and we all wondered whether he might have made a slight mistake in letting the others come back to him. It's almost like he wanted to see what the others had when he had a half a second gap. You felt like he could have escaped then, but even despite all that, Sylvain, he then pulled away in those last 4 laps in the end to take a comfortable victory. Again, we talked about it in the past. I think I don't know if we said it as much for Rueda because it's taken its time to come to it, but we definitely said it for David Alonso. There's this racecraft, there's this race knowledge that belies the fact that he's only just turned 18.
Yeah, and adapting to the conditions as well. When he got caught, to me, it looked like he was really struggling on corner exit, and it looked like he'd lost some rear grip, and it looked like he was just hanging there, making the difference and catching Fernandez in the braking zones, but he was really struggling on corner exit. So I actually thought for a while, oh, hang on a minute, he might be in trouble with his tyre wear, but he managed to recompose himself, change his riding style, and use the bike in a different way to make it efficient once the tyre dropped for the last third of the race. So yeah, again, Quiles is showing that he's pure class. He's showing that he can control the race, he can manage the tyre wear, he can manage the strength and the weaknesses of his opponents, he can attack when it matters, he can save himself and the tyres when it matters. So, I mean, full package, Quiles, at such a young age, to have such control over the race distance, such control in the managing his race and managing his opponents. He showed his pure class. So yeah, it was was brilliant to see him at work. But they didn't make him work hard. He didn't. He had to sweat for that one. So yeah, it was another Moto3 thriller. I mean, Moto3, it's just so good to watch. You can't not watch it. It's just like every single time there's something going on, and every time it's fireworks. So yeah, I really enjoy watching this for to see again the class of Maximo Quiles.
Yeah, I think any other year you might be talking about Quiles going straight to MotoGP. He's that kind of talent. I think we said the same about David Alonso, but this year you just feel like there's not enough seats, too many other things going on. I thought David Munoz was great back from injury. I'm so pleased to see him, and he was sensible. That is so strange to say it, but he wasn't he? And between him and Fernandez, there's a little bit of needle, bit of beef, but they were both great actually. And Fernandez, every time you write him off, I think he comes back. I'm not sure he's a MotoGP star of the future, but definitely he's a really consummate Moto3 rider now, and comes up with the goods when needed to. Really, you have to say. Have you chaps got anything else to add on the Spanish Grand Prix weekend? Because we are going to come back with another episode. We want more of your questions. I will remind you that we are on at Gas It Out Pod. I'm just trying to find where's my little thing gone? There we are on Gas It Out Pod.
Where's your little thing gone?
There's my little thing. There it is. I've got my little thing
before,
now.
Haven't you? Where's my little thing gone?
Yeah, on Instagram and YouTube. So you can contact us there as always.
We've heard him say that, Sylvain, a few times, haven't we?
It is a little one as well, a very little thing. There it is, just
brilliant.
At the bottom of the screen. Just going across the bottom of the screen. Do you have anything to add, lads, on that weekend that we've just seen in Spain?
No, just, I tell you what, just when you're there, how cool again to see a sellout track, queuing to get in, atmosphere, passion. Bloody hell. Our sport's in a healthy place. We go to certain tracks where it's just buzzing. Obviously, we've got them on next in 10 days' time, which will be more of the same. So I feel we're lucky, aren't we? We're lucky that it's...
Yeah. Just shy of 100,000 on race day, over 220,000 over the race weekend. I was down at Turn 9 a couple of times over the weekend because we had a little camera position down there. And on race day, on the Sunday morning, when the riders came round, they absolutely love it. Yeah. And Sylvain, the fact is, when we go to Le Mans, it's more of the same, isn't it? We are going to have well over 100,000 there, over 300,000, no doubt, over the race weekend in Le Mans. That's one. These are two bucket list events, aren't they?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, those two, Jerez has always been really special. There was probably a little dip at some point, but now it's back up there. And Le Mans, every year, it's record-breaking crowds, atmosphere. It's going to be a sellout again. So yeah, bring it on. Bring on Le Mans. I literally
Sylvain,
cannot wait.
are we going to have you back though? I need to know. This is an important question. I know you've had a lot on your plate. You've been dedicated to the running, but Gav, are we missing our drinking partner?
We're missing our
my liver's not missing. Yeah, my liver's not missing you, Sylvain. But we need you back.
But the problem is for me, you have all that. You've had all that training now, all these months. So I'm gonna have to build it back up slowly, I think, and not overdo it too fast.
Sure.
But you know what's gonna happen, don't you?
Yeah,
we know
exactly what's going to.
Sat in the sunshine in Le Mans. It better be sunny that weekend. I mean, it's going to be a glorious weekend here in the UK this week, and I hope it continues on into Le Mans. Next week. We will be back with another episode to preview the French Grand Prix, and we'll all be back on site there as well. We'll have a little bit of talk as well next time about testing, what they might have learned during that day that they had in Jerez, because there's a few bits and pieces here and there. Certainly noises emerging from Ducati, they feel confident, but similarly from Aprilia too. So let's see when we speak to you next. We'll be back next time. But for now, from Neil and from Sylvain and from myself, have a great rest of your weekend, and we will speak to you before the French Grand Prix. If in doubt, gas it out.